Before we bring on today's guest, I'd like to share a few housekeeping things with you. Let's start off with this one. And let me add that and bring that up. First thing I want to let everybody know is about an event coming up in February, actually February 21st through the 23rd. It is the MAX annual trade show and training event. This year will be held out in Anaheim, California. If you haven't made plans to attend, check it out. You can go to the MAX website at macsw.org to learn more about how you can get signed up for that. Next thing on the agenda, I want to say a little bit about our first 2019 guest. Some of you may know John Gardner. He is a automotive instructor at Chipola College here in Florida. And he's also the co-host of the new Motor Trend channel's Tech Garage. They start their 5th season in 2019. And we'll talk to John a little bit about how they got involved in that program and what he thinks of our automotive education system here currently. So what are your thoughts on that? And now we'll get this brought up to my good friend and co-host today. Welcome to the show, Scott Weaver, otherwise known as Gonzo. Scott, how you doing?
Doing good. How you doing? How was your Christmas?
Good. And yours?
Yeah, it's great.
Good. Well, I appreciate you, Scott, taking the time to hang out with us. I guess the very first thing I want to do is kind of ask you a question you've probably heard many, many times. Gonzo, how did you get the nickname Gonzo?
Oh, this is it gets old, but I guess it's kind of funny. It all started back when I was in the Marine Corps, and 17-year-olds, young and dumb, got my nose broke, and being that age, I guess you don't pay attention to taking certain pain pills and few too many beers, but basically I fell asleep in the rec room where the pool table and all that stuff was, and somebody found a bugle and a rubber chicken and some blue paint. They managed to paint my face blue, put these in my hands, had me sitting here. I'm passed out, of course. And, the big thing is, hey, look at this, Corporal Gonzo. I think I was a corporal then or something. But, it just became a running joke while I was in the service. But then after I got out, you got to find a job. So me and the toolbox kind of, we were best buddies. So I ended up working at a used car lot. And I was just the flunky mechanic. I was under a car one day, and it's the owner's wife. She came out going, Gonzo, Gonzo, Gonzo. I mean, really loud. Well, I was under the car. I just pulled out and said, what? And she looked at me like I was calling the dog. It was the name of her dog. So then I told her how I got the name Gonzo, and then of course the owner of the place, he's one of these guys that you just give a nickname to everybody. So it was Gonzo. So I just kind of went with it.
It's stuck ever since.
Yeah, it's just stuck ever since. And I really originally was going to open my repair shop and call it the gas company, Gonzo's Auto Service. But I never did. I ended up naming it Superior. But the name just stuck, and I've used it quite well. And for some points of interest, it's probably kind of cool to have a nickname because it's hard to find you in the phone book.
Yeah, if you Google Scott Weaver, you get quite a few that show up.
Yeah, Gonzo.
You got to make sure you add the Gonzo in there to get the right one. That's a pretty cool story. So you got started in the used car lot, and then as you kind of alluded to there, what got you into owning your own business? How did you get into owning Superior?
Oh boy, I'd have to say that was one of those things that just sounded right. maybe being a wee bit too much independent, and thinking you really got all the answers when you don't. But you don't know that until after you get into that age bracket where you figure out that what I used to think I knew, I really don't. But yeah, it was just time and place, I guess. I just said, hey, let's give it a whirl. So I didn't have any money. Really didn't have all the tools I really needed, but the timing was right. And I make the joke statement, but this is honest to God truth. I had one Canon WD-40, I had one test light, and one pair of wire strippers. That's all I had.
Yeah, I guess we should tell the people who are watching for their benefit. If you aren't aware that Gonzo's shop was a specialty shop in electrical repair, right? That's what you did, right?
Right.
And,
oh yeah, yeah. That's pretty much.
So.
I try to stay away from pulling engines and transmissions, but yeah, I did mainly electrical and electrical related repairs.
Yeah, and considering the time you started that shop, when? Back in the 80s, right?
1984.
Yeah, so I mean, that's when electronics were still not overly complicated. They were getting that way, right?
No, but it was complicated enough for a lot of the guys that were still in the business that they didn't want to mess with it.
Right, because like I often tell you the presentation, the most complicated electronic device we had to deal with back when I started, was the AM radio on the dashboard, right? I mean that was even FM. It was just AM radio and a cigarette lighter, and you could troubleshoot a lot of problems with a test light. And
right,
and then like since the late 70s, early 80s came in, we started seeing the first onboard computer systems, and even by today's standards, of course, those were rather simplistic. But back then, guys were really going like, "Oh my God, what is this FM?" Of course, us old timers know what we're talking about when we say FM. But but no, I mean, I want to make that point, guys, because it's interesting that when Gonzo started that shop back in the 80s, he recognized that was a niche opportunity that he was very qualified to fill. And I'm sure that dropped you a lot of business, not only from the consumer, but you probably had a lot of shops you were helping take care of.
Yeah, I think I hate to say it, but 50% of the shops within 30 or 40 mile radius, they were going to take the risk of saying, hey, take it to the new guy. Geez, I mean, we don't know what we're doing. Maybe this guy can. And, I'll tell you what, it made me scratch my head more than once. And but I figured it out, got them going. And I mean, sometimes they were pretty impossible jobs. Burn jobs from insurance companies was a big one for a long time. And you got to remember too, 70 models and 80 models cars, it was less likely that you're going to be able to pick up the phone and buy a harness from the manufacturer. Now they had them, but they were rare and sometimes quite expensive. Well, I would just pull the harnesses out and rebuild them and put back the car. But then your terminal ends wasn't as critical as it is today. The chafing and whatnot wasn't as big a deal as it is today. So,
yeah, but I think the key point, I think you'll agree that the electrical foundation, the same techniques and skills that you needed to work on those systems in the 80s are still applicable to those systems that we see today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Right. Get the basics in.
Got to have a good foundation. Absolutely. So of course, now being a shop owner for so long, I'm sure you've experienced many different things in your shop, good, bad, indifferent, and of course, humorous, which I think led to something else that you did later in your career. That was authored your book. It Look, I found, excuse me, get the title right. I found the loose nut, right?
Yes,
let's see that.
I found
Hey, look.
Yeah, hey, look. I found loose.
Yeah, and for guys, if you're watching, if you haven't had a chance to read Gonzo's book, again, it's a collection of humorous tales of experiences he had as a shop owner, and you can find that on his website, gonzostoolbox.com, along with a lot of other great resources and information. So by all means, go check them out and add that to your library. If it's maybe a little late for a Christmas gift, but it's never too late for for New Year's. There you go.
Still around.
It's still around, and it's still got some good stuff in there. So I hope you enjoy that. So, and that just kind of branched you off, right? Because once you got your book out there and you started getting some recognition with the book, then you really kind of opened up in some other areas in your career, didn't you?
Yeah, the book sells, but I can tell you right now, if you think you're going to make a living selling books, think again. Uh, there's no money in selling books unless you're Stephen King or something or other, because it's a tough racket to get in. But what it did turn out to be is a really good business card. And when I say business card, I'm saying that, okay, I've got a way of maybe making a little financial gain on this if I, go to some of these magazine companies and editorial places and say that, hey, I can write. And I remember the very first one I went to, I did it for free. And it was a rag magazine, basically a newspaper type magazine. And it was a body shop magazine, but he was willing to give me a shot. And so for about a year, I just come up with a new story and he would print it. And I started getting quite a following. And that just led one thing to another. And, and now it's, well, other circumstances, which we can get into later, it turned into being basically my main income now. And that is the writing.
I should say, too, that unfortunately you suffered some health setbacks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, kind of major ones, I guess you could say. This.
Yeah.
First week of June 2017, I had a major heart attack. The kind of heart attack that drops you to your knees and pray to God type heart attack. It was not one of the little pushover things. And after, I don't know, 2 or 3 days of testing, they finally come back and said, well, you're going to need open heart surgery. So they cut me open and, did the whole thing and ended up with a double bypass. And after that, the recovery time generally is 2 to 6 months. For me, I would say, yes, 6 months was about right. And this whole time now, I'm the breadwinner in the family, and I'm still have the shop. I have not closed the shop. I just closed the doors, and I just left it, as a shell. And, we're literally just, doing what I can to keep the bills paid. And then it finally came up and says, I got to sell. I can't do this. I went down and tried to do a tune-up. I don't like to use the word tune-up anymore, but I'm changing spark plugs in a little Kia. And it's a 4-cylinder Kia, for Pete's sake. It took me all day. I just could not move. I was ready to get back, and I knew right then, that's it. I got to sell. So I sold the whole place and leaned on my writing people, and companies to come up with a way that they could, let's just say it, provide me with a job. And they sure did. So, it's worked out real well.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, I'll try to let people watching know that you were writing regularly for some other magazines at the time. But that also led you to some other opportunities. I understand that guys, especially if you got stuff that you're doing it yourself around the house, you go to the local auto parts store looking for that service manual, you may see some of the ones that are published by Haynes. And I understand you also had an involvement with Haynes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, you mean these guys?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That started all the writing started because the book's been out since about 2009. And that's when I started getting more and more involved in the writing side of it. And to this day, I don't know how I got involved with the Haynes, but I've been writing for them for 10 years. And so I basically write right now 4 chapters are all my handiwork. It's a home job. When I had the shop, it was always my fill-in work. So when the shop got slow, the phone's not working, or ringing. I'm sitting there typing, and I'm writing one of these manuals, and I have no idea how to write a manual. I didn't know all the processes and everything. So I made a lot of mistakes, but they worked with me. They said, hey, you learn by mistakes. So here's what you don't do that you just did. So undo this and do it this. So, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah.
And they've been, I would say, probably one of the better things that I've done in my writing career is to be involved with Now, granted, okay, I am a professional mechanic, master certified, as you would expect. And you and I both know what most generally good mechanics thinks of the Haynes or the Chilton manuals. I'm no different. Okay. Um, yeah, as many a times I've been, in a car, and I find one of these laying on the passenger seat, and it's flip the thing to the back seat because I got my stuff I'm going to use. I'm not going to use that, and it has a purpose. So when you say it's better as a doorstop, no. These books are set up for people to do a lot of work at home, to at least so they can get something done on a budget, and that's what it's made for. So just keep that in mind. It's not a professional book.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. But the good thing is if we know they got your fingerprints in there, then at least hopefully the DIY is getting the right information, which is such a struggle today.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that you put in that I can put in there that a lot of the guys at Haynes aren't aware of. Different ways you can test a relay, or one I really got a kick out of is taking off a crank door handle. And they're saying, "Go get the tool." I said, "The tool's a rag." And they go, "What? How do you do that?" I said, "We take a rag and you just walk it up behind the deal, and the clip flings off." Like, really? Yeah. So
yeah,
it's now a standard in the book. So
pretty good.
There's a lot of things I wrote in there like that.
Pretty good. So besides now from your exploration, shall we say, in your professional life, the different things that you've been involved with there, we were talking earlier about some of the things that you're also doing in your private life, kind of more involvement with the community now that you have some extra time.
Yeah. I appreciate you asking that, because that's something real dear to me. I look at it where I have spent most of my professional life helping people get their car running for a fee. I'm doing it, as a doctor or lawyer or any other professional person. I get paid to do that. I wanted to do something that I could give back to the community that helped support me all those years. And I taught my son how to play chess when he's 4. He's 23, 24 now. And at about 9, 10 years old, he was in the top 3 tournament players for his age bracket in Oklahoma. And I thought, well, geez, if I can teach him, I think I can teach it to some more kids. So I got involved with an elementary school, and every Friday I teach chess for a bunch of kids. Started out with 4 kids. Right now, I think I have close to 20.
Wow.
And it just keeps growing, and it's funny. I get a call nearly every day, and it's the teachers telling me that, hey, the kids want to know, can they play chess today? They're real excited about it, so I'm real proud of that.
Yeah, very good, very good.
I want to give back. That's my way.
Yeah. So, and I guess I also know too that we've had these discussions over events, over drinks and things, and I know there's another person in your life that's very close to you. I would say very close to you, that has some successes of her own. We should brag a little bit about. Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah. Well, my wife is quite the quilter. She's very well known in the quilting world. As a matter of fact, she has wrote 2 books. Well, after her first book sold rather well, okay, maybe there's a little bit of competitiveness. This is how it's like, you ain't going to be the only one being an author. So, but yeah, she's done 2 books, and she is one of these gals that if you took an unfolded cardboard box and told her, that if you could fold this back together, would it be a square or be a rectangle? She couldn't figure it out. But that lady can take yards and yards of fabric, cut it up into little squares, and put it back together and make the most beautiful quilts you've ever seen in your life.
Wow.
And to this day, I cannot figure out how she does that.
Yeah. And she would know, we have to brag too, because not only are you a talented technician and business owner and author and editor and all these other things that you have behind your name, I guess we should also put in there accomplished carpenter / cabinetry.
Yeah.
I've seen the photos, guys. If you get a chance to check out Scott on his Facebook page, look at some of the pictures that he's done creating the quilting spaces for his wife, his own, or remodeling his home. He's very talented with a hammer and skill saw and the other tools of that trade as well. So I guess that just kind of comes in with being a technician, though, doesn't it? Scott is like, it's a mindset. It's how you look at things, how you approach problems. It's all kind of the same thing.
Which way do you approach a problem, from the outside or the inside? I have to reach for that problem from the outside going in, okay? But if I understand how it got from the inside to the outside, I can fix it better. Mm-hmm. It's just like building a cabinet. I don't look at the door. I look at the carcass. How is that attached to the wall? And then start from the backwards, learning how it worked. Mm-hmm. Now I can fix it, or basically I can build it. Yeah, it's the same way when I build my my wooden toys. The little cars or whatever, and some of them pretty elaborate. They're on the website too, on the gallery page. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's a lot of the things that I build in my little wood shop. It's not that I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to figure out how to build something. Mm-hmm. And that to me is the intriguing part, not the finished product. How did I arrive at making this certain piece of this this toy from a piece of wood? And I honestly, yes, I think that's part of being a technician is understanding things from a different aspect than, say, the average person who just, they look at a piece of furniture and go, well, that's pretty. Yeah. Me, I look at it and go, how did you build it? Mm-hmm. So I think that's how a true technician looks at things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Scott, I really want to thank you for taking out some time today to hang out with me here on Facebook Live, our Shop Talk Live program. Before we go, I also want to share some news with our audience. I'm sure that you're just excited as I am that Scott will be joining us on the Motor Age family in 2019 as a regular contributor. So welcome to the family, Scott. It's good to have you there. Yeah. And we look forward to what you're going to bring to the readers. And I'm sure they're as excited to see what you have to bring to them. I know some of you guys have told us how much of a fan you are of Gonzo's Toolbox, his column, his views on the industry and life in general. We may be able to incorporate those in the future, but if we can't, you could always go to gonzostoolbox.com and just read to your heart's content. Lots of material, lots of great stuff to see there. And of course, again, we're going to welcome Scott in 2019. His first article debuts in our February issue, so be on the lookout for that. Again, Scott, thank you so much. And we wish you and yours a very happy new year, prosperous new year, and look forward to working with you in 2019.
Hey, thanks, Pete. I enjoyed it.